I'm sorry guys, I've got to go back in the car. This is just madness. Hello guys, welcome back to Car Obsession and welcome to another walk around. This week I'm joined by the facelifted Suzuki Ignis. So as always, I will take you around the car, talk you through the specifications and give you my first impressions. Now, apologies if there's a bit of wind noise. It is very breezy down here on the south coast of England. So yes, it's one of those things, I can't do much about it. I've got my little fluffy attachment on my microphone, but beyond that, well, it's out of my hand, it's in Mother Nature's hands. Anyway, weather aside, yes, here we go. The brand new facelifted version of the second generation of the Suzuki Ignis. Now, one of the first things you'll note about the new version is the new grille. Now, of course, design and looks are subjective, but me personally, I don't like this grille. I think it makes it look like a Jeep, and in my opinion, the front end is a bit fussy for my liking. I actually prefer the more smoother, cleaner lines of the pre-facelift, but of course, that is a subjective. Now, in regard to what has changed for this model, of course, the exterior has had a few tweaks, the interior has had a few tweaks as well, but apart from that, the approach to this car has been evolution as opposed to revolution. I think Suzuki were quite happy with the initial base of the pre-facelift, and therefore the Japanese brand hasn't really strayed away from it too much. Now, unlike the previous version, the new facelifted Ignis is only available with the mild hybrid system. So you've got the hybrid there. As you can see, this is also an AllGrip model. So this car is four-wheel drive, believe it or not. I know it's such a small, dinky car. You can almost fit it in your pocket. And this is a good thing because a lot of small SUVs or crossovers, yes, I know this is kind of a city car and a crossover, but a lot of crossovers, they're kind of pseudo 4x4s. They look like they can go off-road and then they've got four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, but they don't. However, Suzuki has kind of bucked this trend and has offered this car with four-wheel drive. Now, of course, it isn't quite as rugged or adventurous as, let's say, a Suzuki Jimny. This hasn't really got the same go-anywhere ability, but if you happen to live in rural conditions, or you want to do a bit of soft roading, then I'm pretty sure this will have you covered. This has grip control, and it also has hill descent control as well. Now, one of the other new things for the Ignis is colour. Now, this particular one is finished in rush yellow, and I like that. It is complemented with black alloys, which you can't really see because of the lighting. I'll tell you what, I'm going to turn my back on the wind, so I'm going to scurry around to the front. That way, I've got my back to the wind, therefore the noise should be improved. Now, the Ignis comes in 3 trim levels like it did previously. So you have SZ3, SZT or SZ5. I've got the latter. I've got the SZ5 in front of me, which is of course the range topping model. Now, this would normally start, well, with the AllGrip drive system, this would normally start from £17,749, but because of this lovely shade of rush yellow, this will cost you £18,399. Now, there's 2 other colours. You've also got Caravan Ivory, which is quite a weird name, and what's the other one? Tough Khaki. That's a good name, isn't it? I'm not too sure about Caravan Ivory. This car is complemented with the black roof, which you can just see there. Now, what comes as standard on the SZ5? So you get LED headlights. In fact, all of the Ignises now come with LED headlights, which is quite impressive, bearing in mind this is a kind of budget car. I've also got 16-inch alloys, keyless entry, rear privacy glass, roof rails, the staple of any wannabe SUV, of course. Let me take you inside the car, actually, because I can get out of this horrible wind. Is it? Yep, it's unlocked. There we go. Oh, right, let me climb inside. Right, oh, that's so much better. It's not a particularly cold day, but the wind is really cold on your hands. I haven't got gloves on. Whilst I'm here, another tweak for the new Ignis is the design for the speedo has changed a little bit, in case you're really bothered about such things. Yes, back onto the specification. I've also got a touchscreen. I always forget the size of this touchscreen. I'm really bad on this one. I think it's 7-8 inches. It's difficult to really gauge the size because you've got quite a thick bezel around it, and of course you've got this black, well, gloss black frame around it, which looks quite smart, but of course it's going to attract dust and fingerprints. But the same could be said for any glossy black plastic. Looks nice, but not really the most practical. You may have spotted that the design for the dash has changed. I think this looks better. Those that would have watched my review of the old Ignis, which would have been all the way back in 2017, you may remember, probably won't, that I wasn't a fan of the colours used for the dash. I think this looks nicer. I think this will wear better as well. Whereas for the last Ignis, quite a lot of the dash was this colour, a kind of light grey, kind of a light grey / cream. I just thought, over time, I just think that's going to wear quite badly. But anyway, back onto the touchscreen. So I've got navigation, DAB radio, smartphone connectivity, although for some reason my Galaxy S10 doesn't work with this system. I'm not too sure if that's a problem with my phone or the Suzuki system. Having said that, I'm pretty sure I've had problems with Suzuki's infotainment before with my smartphone, so maybe it's a problem with Suzuki. Now, actually, I'll tell you what, let me turn on the ignition so you can actually see the touchscreen as opposed to me just showing you a blank screen. Then we've got the Suzuki emblem coming up. Now, the early versions of the last Ignis came with a Pioneer system, which looked very aftermarket, and it looked very much like an afterthought. But of course, we now have Suzuki's inboard system, and this was used for the previous Ignis, but not initially when the cars were first released. So DAB radio, although that's FM now, of course, Bluetooth, navigation and smartphone connectivity. I've got auto air conditioning. If I bring you down here, you'll see the buttons for the hill descent and the grip control as well. I've got lane departure warning, autonomous emergency braking. This car also makes use of the dual camera brake support, these little sensors at the top here. Now, I've moaned about this before, but the autonomous emergency braking system that Suzuki uses, it's a bit panicky. I find that sometimes when you're approaching a parked car, or let's say you're coming to a stop behind a car that's waiting to turn into a junction or something like that, this system can be a bit panicky. And there has been one or two occasions where I have been approaching a parked car on the side of the road and the car has actually braked. Now, thankfully, in those situations, there was no one behind me. But yes, Suzuki, I really believe you need to fine-tune your AEB because, yes, it's not the best in the business, if I'm going to be honest. What else do I have? I've got front and rear electric windows. This may seem like such a given feature nowadays, but the SZ3 and the SZT, they only have front electric windows. So in the back, you've got keep fit windows. This hasn't got auto wipers or anything like that, but it does have automatic headlights, which is handy, especially this time of year where you find a lot of drivers forget to turn their headlights on, which is very annoying. I've got cruise control as well, speed limiter. So yes, this car has got a decent specification. I've got a 5-speed manual at my disposal, although you can have a CVT gearbox if you prefer to have an automatic. Now, those of you that know me well will know I don't like CVT, so I'd rather stick with the 5-speed manual. The change is quite light, but it is precise. The pedals are also quite light as well. I do find the biting point of the clutch is quite high. It does take a bit of time to get used to. And the accelerator is quite light as well. So it may just be me, but I do find sometimes when I'm trying to set off, I kind of over-rev the car because I'm just trying to find the biting point on this car. I just find it's a little bit vague, but anyway. Oh, God, it's clouded over. Looks like it's about to pour it down. Now, as you would expect from a cheap car, the steering wheel does not adjust for reach. It only adjusts for rake. Now, some of you may argue that for over £18,000, this is not a cheap car. Granted, but this does have the AllGrip system and the optional paint. So this car can be had for as cheap as, I think it's a little over £14,000. So yeah, that is a cheap car nowadays. Now let's talk about practicality. The door bins are of a good size. As you can see, I've got my bottle in there. I've got 2 cup holders in the middle. Got a slot where you can pop your smartphone or perhaps your wallet. Moving away from practicality, but let's talk about connection. So you've got 12-volt socket here, a USB port here, and an auxiliary port. I'm pretty sure the previous version of the Ignis didn't have an aux port, but I may be wrong. Of course, you have a glove box which offers a decent amount of space, and you get a separate shelf for the owner's manual. I like that feature, a very practical feature. Weird. You think that Suzuki may have done something with this, but of course you do have the airbag there, so maybe not. But I don't know, what is that really for? Of course, you have a cup holder here that's more for the rear passengers. So with that in mind, let me step into the back, and I can show you rear space. Let me turn off the ignition. I keep going to the left-hand side for some reason. After having this car for 6 days, you'd think I'd know where the start-stop button is by now, wouldn't you? This car also comes with privacy glass, but I may have mentioned it earlier. Oh, just shows you how windy it is. Now, these doors are very light. The car as a whole, actually. So how much do you think this car weighs? I'll give you a few moments to guess. So if you said 940 kilograms, you would be correct. That's right. This car weighs about the same, if not less, than a Mazda MX-5, which is incredible, bearing in mind it's got the AllGrip system and it's got 4 seats. So yeah, incredible. Now the only downside with this is, well, the doors aren't exactly substantial. They're very light, and that means the sound deadening isn't overly fantastic. So even at 30 miles per hour, you do find that there is quite a bit of road noise intruding into the cabin. In case you're wondering, these 16-inch alloys are wearing Bridgestone Ecopia tyres, if that's how you pronounce it. Ecopia, that sounds better. So these are Eco tyres, they're quite skinny. The width is 175 millimetres. Yes, you can even see, if I bring the camera down, these are quite skinny tyres, but they are quite noisy. Well, I say that. The noise rating is 69 decibels, which isn't deafening, but... Oh, let's get out of that wind. But for a car like this, where, just look, barely any effort's used to close the door, which is, oh, in fact, the wind blew it closed that time. And here comes the rain. Yes, the tyres aren't overly noisy, per se, but in this car they kind of are, if that makes sense. Now, as always, the driver's seat has been set for me. I'm 6'2", so I am, of course, a taller chap. But having said that, the space in the Ignis is surprisingly good. You look at it and think, well, someone of my height would not fit in the back, but I do. I've got a good amount of knee room. If I bring you down to the side, apologies, the lighting isn't fantastic. But if I bring you down, look, that legroom is properly, put your teeth back in, Aaron, it's properly impressive. Headroom, if I just, oh, I'm zoomed all the way, and that's not a good look. Hang on. Why was I zoomed in so much? Hello. So headroom is also pretty good, which is impressive for a car like this. Now, if you go for the SZT or the SZ5, you only get 2 seats in the rear as opposed to 3 in the base model SZ3. Now, in all honesty, I don't think that's a weakness, because let's face it, even if you had 3 seats in the back of this car, you have to mind some of my filming equipment, even if you had 3 seats, are you realistically going to seat 3 people in the back? No, even 3 children would probably struggle. So I think it actually makes more sense not to have the 3 seats and to have the 2 seats. And these also, if you go for the 2-seat option, these can slide forwards or backwards by 165 millimeters. So where's the handle for it? Bear with me. Ah, there we go. It's in the middle. So if I wanted to, I could sit like that. Not that I'd want to. Yes, that wouldn't be comfortable, but the advantage of having the seat slid forward is, of course, you get more boot space. Where's my lever gone? Where's it gone? There we go. No, that's not it. Ah, there we go. That's much better. Now, I'll speak about practicality in the rear. You get a map pocket in the back of the front passenger seat, but not one in the back of the driver's seat. A little bit unusual, but not the first time I've seen that on a car. You have a door bin where you can fit in a bottle. You can, well, I say door bin. Oh, pardon me, sorry. I say door bin, you can't even see it. Oh, got to now tackle the wind. There we go, there's a door bin. That wind is quite strong. Cup holder down there, I've mentioned. And that's pretty much it. You don't even get grab handles in the rear, or a hook where you can hang up some clothing. But of course, this is a cheap car. Right, anything else to report in the rear? No, so let's have a look at the boot, which means having to tackle the elements once more. That wind has definitely picked up. Now, as you would imagine, the Ignis hasn't got an overly big boot, and as always it's filled with my filming crap, but we'll cut to a clip where the boot is empty. Now if you go for, let me turn my back like that so the wind isn't as bad. So if you go for a two-wheel drive Ignis, you'll get 267 litres worth of space, but of course I've got the four-wheel drive version, therefore the boot shrinks down to 204 litres. Now if you want more space, you can of course fold down the rear seats to give you over 1,000 litres. So not an overly big boot, but it's competitive compared to cars such as the Fiat 500 or the Volkswagen Up. Right. Let me... just this wind. Right, let me finish by talking through the engine. Oof. Door's closing on me. My word. Okay, at this point the wind noise is probably really bad. I'm really sorry. Oh my word. This car's so light, I'm worried it's going to get blown away in a moment. Right. The show must go on. Oh my god. The wind actually held the bonnet up then for... Look at that, look. Okay. That's being held up by the wind. That just... Oh god, I've got to be careful because it's now overextending. That shows you how strong the wind is. I don't need to use the bonnet support because the wind's doing the job for me. If anything, I'm having to hold the boot. I'm having to hold the bonnet down. Anyway, I digress. Oh, it's all fun and games, isn't it? Until someone gets hurt. Right, so this is a 1.2 litre naturally aspirated petrol engine, which offers 83 horsepower along with 107 newton meters of torque. That's actually a little bit less than before, but the mild hybrid system has been... I'm sorry guys, I've got to go back in the car. This is just madness. Automatic door. Right. Wow. How quickly did the weather turn then? Mother Nature's not happy. Sorry guys, I've had to retreat to the car. This has been a very haphazard video. Yes, so a 1.2 litre naturally aspirated petrol engine. You can't have this car with the turbocharged 1 litre EcoBoost. I'm thinking of Ford. Sorry, booster jet engine. I'd love to see the Ignis with that engine. I'd love to see an Ignis Sport as well, but I don't think such a car will ever come. I can actually feel the car rocking with the wind. I'm not even lying. So 62 miles per hour comes in 12.8 seconds, so a little bit slower than before, and the top speed is 103 miles per hour. Now, in regard to fuel economy, you're looking at 51.9 on a combined run, and CO2 emissions are 123 grams per kilometre, meaning for the first year of VED, you would be required to pay £165. Now, the mild hybrid system has actually been improved because the battery for it is now larger, where it has a larger capacity. So instead of 3 amp hours, it is now 10 amp hours. So, of course, the system is improved. It makes it more efficient. That is, of course, a good thing. Wow. It was due to rain today, but it wasn't meant to be this windy, but hey-ho. Well, very unusually, I think I'm going to have to do the conclusion in the car. Yeah, I'm not going back up there anytime soon. Right, so I do hope you have enjoyed this video. If so, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to click the bell icon so you get notified every time I make a video. But until the next time, guys, be sure to keep up the car obsession.